Come on.
The captive has been secured. You've done your part, Tenno. We'll take it from here.
Hey all, Siege here, and today I want to talk a little bit about this Acolyte event from the perspective of the newer player on any kind of time budget. This would actually go for any of the limited time events in Warframe that seem to happen pretty frequently and offer special rewards that don't appear in the game too often. Many times they are sought out for their niche effectiveness and rarity, making them pretty expensive should a person choose to acquire them over the trade chat once the event is over. For the record, I would always at least check Warframe.market to get a ballpark value for what you're either buying or selling to there, especially if you don't have much experience in the trade community. It's not perfect, but it gives an idea of what things go for. The mods offered for this particular event I would consider endgame mods personally, and from what I hear from the community, Blood Rush, Body Count, Argon Scope, and Maiming Strike are the preferred ones to get if you can get your hands on them, because if not, they can be really pricey on the market. Body Count in particular is pretty easy to come by during the event though, so that one might not be too hard to get. Vets of the game seem to know this is a special event that's not to be missed, but if you don't play the game that often, or are getting some extra gaming time for the holidays and want to spend that time on Warframe, especially if you haven't made it to the second Dream Quest or even the War Within, I want to give my take on this aspect of the game from a newer player's perspective, but from someone who's played and researched enough to have an idea of what he's talking about. I've now done well over 100 runs from missions of every variety across 4 of the Acolytes, and I have to tell you that for me, the juice just doesn't seem to be worth the squeeze. These are fantastic rewards that can really push a player who isn't seeing any improvement to new places as far as damage and utility is concerned. Don't get me wrong, but I've been neglecting everything else in the game for days just to make sure I get all of these annual items, and although I plan on using them, for the majority of the content in the game, you certainly don't need any of them. There are plenty of other mods that can be found in the game that can make adequate substitutes, and achieving ultimate power in Warframe at the beginning stages really isn't a legitimate possibility anyhow. This game is a marathon, not a sprint. I think this and other issues are contributing factors as to why some newer players don't stay with the game. Many times, just coming to the front of the ship can leave you with so many things to do that, let's face it, if you're a newer player, you have no clue what to do next. I can appreciate that. And coming from a Destiny player who's used to special events being the thing you needed to play if you wanted to gain power in the game, if I didn't know what was going on, I might waste a lot of my time chasing some of these events where I could be gaining real progress in other places in the game. Not only that, but it appears as though most, if not all of these events are open to lower level players, especially if they have in fact joined a clan in the game. So it's just one more distraction to deal with. All it takes is a few times like this, and a player might never load the game up again. So unfortunately, an overabundance of content, which is Warframe's single best feature, is also probably its greatest weakness when it comes to newer players. The amount of content for a brand new player is overwhelming, which again is a good thing, but with so much to do and so much to understand, it might seem like a pretty significant task. I know it did for me, still does sometimes. This and the fact that very little, if, well, any direction is given in the game aside from the star chart and the basic node progression shown on each planet. So I want to give new players what I feel is the most efficient way to play Warframe, if in fact you have a limited time to do so, but still find the game enjoyable and would like to get deeper in order to maybe enjoy some of the endgame content and its unique rewards. If you spend what time you do have as effectively as possible, and have a tangible reason to put yourself through the grind, it'll keep you playing. This of course is just my personal opinion, but one I don't think I'm steering you wrong with. It seems like Warframe's popularity is rising and will only continue to bring in all types of new players. Until it doesn't. I don't want that to happen. So for newer players, here's what I think are the most efficient ways to make progress in the game. For me, the basic star chart is the single biggest area to keep up with. Making a path from planet to planet will net you a ton of resources, credits, weapons, and other rewards, and at the same time will open different quests that push the story forward and many times reward you with a new Warframe. The more nodes a player unlocks, the more opportunities they will have at daily alerts as well, which offer their own set of rewards, specifically aura mods that augment the Warframe in capacity and designated perk. Opening all nodes on a planet will unlock a Nightmare mission, which is a randomly selected mission with modifiers that offer a guaranteed rare mod drop every time you complete it successfully. Finally, it'll give you access to more of the relays in the game, where the Syndicates, the Sanctuary that houses Mastery Rank practice tests, and the Simulacrum, and every 2 weeks, Baroque Tier, who offers special mods and weapons that in most cases can only be obtained through him. As long as you keep matchmaking on, even the very end of the star chart shouldn't give you too much trouble. To put it bluntly, if you ever aren't sure what to do next, do the next available node. Next are the quests in the game. Gaining access to the quest is usually achieved by making progress through the star chart. The major difference is that these are what I would call the game's overarching campaign, with each quest offering unique rewards that also can't be earned anywhere else, along with the continuing story of Warframe itself. And if you're into compelling stories, there are actually a few in there that might interest you. But like everything else in this game, you're going to have to earn them. In my opinion, the goal here is to get to the War Within quest, given as a reward for completing the Pluto-Sedna Junction, as after that point, there isn't much in the game you don't have access to. You can consider that level 40 or 25 if you're a Destiny player, and whatever the top rank you can achieve would be in any other game you can think of with progression systems. In games like these, it's where the real game begins. Next is Mastery Rank. Mastery Rank is achieved by leveling up Warframes, weapons, sentinels, companions, and archwings, as well as completing junctions between planets. As far as leveling is concerned, this only works for the first time you level these items to 30, so adding formata weapons and leveling them up again does not contribute to your rank. Consider building everything you've been rewarded if you have the resources to do it, and don't forget the number of weapons that are immediately available, or at least have the blueprints available for credits right from your arsenal in the Orbiter. Increasing your mastery rank will do a number of things, but most importantly will increase the starting base mod capacity on unranked items, as well as unlock the ability to use some of the best weapons and mods in the game. Higher rank adds to the number of trades you can make a day as well, and will give you bonus standing received from the sigils that are worn on the Warframe. While I would say the returns are fairly negligible after mastery rank 13, up to that point, it's pretty important. Finally, consider using boosters. Boosters are available in the market for all kinds of things. Additional resources, a better chance at rare resources, but for me, and from the perspective of the beginning player, affinity and credit boosters are the best. Whereas I wouldn't say they would be good to buy all the time. If you know you're going to have a solid chunk of time, or even better, a few days straight with a solid chunk of time, and you want to make some tangible progress, this is what to spend platinum on. Affinity boosters will give you increased experience towards leveling new weapons and frames, making that grind substantially less, especially if you only equip items that are not rank 30 during missions. And it's never a bad thing to get double credits. If you want to make progress in this game, you're building and ranking, and almost everything has at least a credit cost associated with it. The booster will give you double what you normally would have earned. If you use either of these items, and bear in mind they start the moment you buy them, you won't regret it. Past that, the rest of the game should begin to unfold for you with relative ease, from my perspective at least. I really hope this helps some of the newer players in the game, at least a little bit, because it's a game that deserves to grow with an already stellar community to begin with. But I also know the struggle to understand the game firsthand. I'm a solo player by trade. I think with a little direction, many more players will be able to get over that hump that keeps some people from truly knowing if they enjoy this game or not. If nothing else, I think they should have the chance to find out, don't you? At any rate, take care all, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk at you in the next one. Bye.